Module 4. Present tense verbs. This is the module where French stops being pieces and starts being motion. The present tense, le présent, is the bridge between property and people. Nouns name your word. Articles define your nouns. Pronouns choose your actors. But verbs make it all move. Without verbs you can point at things. With verbs you can talk about what happens. This module is called the bridge between property and people because it connects everything you learned about words to everything you need to do with them. You take the objects, the people, and the structure from module 3 and you finally make them act. Course, French language. We are not covering every tense yet. We are mastering the one tense you will use in 80% of conversation. If you can handle the present tense well, you can describe your day, state facts, express opinions, and ask for what you need. Tourists get by with present tense. Friends chat in present tense. Business introductions run on present tense. Future and past can wait. First, you have to own the now. That is what Module 4 does. It gives you the patterns for regular verbs, the muscle memory for the 4 key irregulars, and the tools to say no and ask questions. After this, you are not learning about French. You are using French. Module 4. Module contents. Module 4 is built in 6 parts that take you from predictable patterns to real flexibility. First, we start with regular verbs. This is the largest group in French and it follows one clean, repeatable pattern. Once you learn it, you can conjugate hundreds of verbs immediately. Second, we move to regular, ir, and reverbs. These are the other 2 regular groups. They are smaller than but they still follow fixed endings. Learn the pattern once and you can apply it across every verb in the group. Third, we tackle the common irregular verbs, être, avoir, olla, faire. These 4 do not follow the regular rules, but they show up in almost every sentence you will hear or say. You have to memorize them because they carry both meaning and grammar. They describe being, having, going, and doing. Fourth, we lock in negation in French. You will use any plus verb plus pot to say what is not happening, and you will see how articles change after negation. Fifth, we cover asking simple questions. You already saw 3 methods in Module 3, but here we apply them fully to present tense verbs and add question words so you can ask for real information. Sixth, we end with a conclusion that pulls everything together. By the end of this module, you will not just know verb charts. You will be able to describe daily activities, express ideas, and participate in basic conversations using the present tense. That is the target. Patterns first, then the exceptions, then the tools to make sentences positive, negative, or interrogative. Nothing extra. Only what you need to speak now. Why the present tense? The present tense, le présent, is the most important tense in French because it covers more ground than its name suggests. It is not only for what is happening right now. French speakers use it for daily routines that repeat, like J. Trouvel or Hewitt us. They use it for general truths that are always valid, like Lobaut or Saint-Degras. They use it for current actions happening at the moment of speaking, like tu parles trop vite. One form does 3 jobs. That is why you learn it first and learn it well. If you try to jump to past or future before you own the present, you will keep translating from English and making errors in basic sentences. Key point, every French sentence needs a correctly conjugated verb. There is no shortcut. You cannot drop the verb and expect the meaning to survive like you sometimes can in English with fragments. The verb also carries the weight of who is acting. The ending on par versus parlance versus parlez tells the listener whether it is je, news, or vous even before they finish hearing the sentence. Get the present tense wrong and your routine sounds broken, your facts sound uncertain, and your current actions sound confused. Get it right and you sound like you belong in the conversation. This is also the tense you will hear most. In shops, in class, in text, in music. Tourists use it. Natives live in it. Once you can conjugate regular verbs and the big four irregulars in the present, you can handle most of what a beginner needs to say. That is why the present tense. Regular ER verbs. The verbs are the largest group in French, making up over 90% of all verbs you will use. That is why we start here. If you learn one set of endings, you unlock hundreds of actions instantly. The pattern is simple and it never changes for regular verbs. Take the infinitive, which is the dictionary form that ends in a. For our example, we use parla, to speak. First, remove the a to find the stem. For parla, the stem is pau. That stem stays the same for every subject pronoun. Second, add the ending that matches who is doing the action. The endings are fixed. J gets E, so J pau. 2 gets ES, so 2 paus. IL and L get E, so IL pal and L pau. News gets ons, so news parlance. Vous gets easy, so vous parlez. ILS and else get ent, so ILS parlent and else parlent. Pronunciation rule, pau, paus, and parlent all sound identical. Even though the spelling changes, your ear will hear one sound for J, 2, Illinois, L, ILS, and else. The only forms that sound different are news parlance and vous parlez. This is important because it means French relies on the subject pronoun or context to show who is acting. You cannot drop J or news in speech like Spanish speakers sometimes can. If you regular IR verbs, second group. The second regular group ends in IR and follows its own fixed pattern. This group is smaller than the A group, but the verbs in it are very common and you need them for daily life. The rule is straightforward. Take the infinitive, remove the IR, and you get the stem. Then add the endings that belong to this group. The endings are not the same as the verbs, so you have to keep them separate in your head. For IR verbs, the endings are is, it, isens, ises, isent. Notice that the plural forms news and vous get longer with ISS before the ending. That ISS sound is the signature of this group. Use finer as your base example. The infinitive is finer, which means to finish. Remove IR and your stem is fin. Now add the endings. GE finest means I finish. 2 finest means you finish. IL finite and L finite mean he finishes and she finishes. News finiscence means we finish. Vous finissez means you finish, formal or plural. ILS finiscent and else finiscent mean they finish. You hear that ISS in the plural forms, and you write it too. That is how you know you are in the IR group and not the A group. Common verbs that follow this exact pattern include choicer, which means to choose, so J choices on liver. Reasa means to succeed, so news reassistance or L examen. Grandier means to grow, so ILS grandiscent vite. There are also IR verbs that do not follow this pattern, but those are irregular and we deal with them separately. For now, focus on the regular ones. If the verb ends in IR and follows this ISS model in the plural, you can trust the endings. Learn finer completely and you can plug in choicer, reasa, grandier, and many others without thinking. One pattern, many actions. Regular IR verbs, third group. The third regular group ends in re and it has the simplest set of endings once you see them. This group is the smallest of the 3 regular types, but the verbs in it are used constantly, so you cannot skip it. The method is the same as the other groups. Start with the infinitive, remove the re, and you are left with the stem. Then add the endings that belong to reverbs. The endings are s, nothing, ons, easy, ent. Notice that the IL and L form has no ending at all. You just use the bare stem. That is different from both A and IR groups, so pay attention to it. Use vendre as the model. Vendre means to sell. Remove re and the stem is vend. Add the endings and you get the full set. G vends means I sell. 2 vends means you sell. IL vend and L vend mean he sells and she sells, with no extra letter on the end. News vendance means we sell. Vous vendez means you sell, formal or plural. ILS vendant and Els vendant mean they sell. In speech, J vends, two vends, Illinois vend, and ILS vendant all sound the same. Only news vendants and vous vendez sound different. The big four irregular verbs. These four verbs do not follow any of the regular aya, or re patterns, and that is exactly why you must memorize them. They are called the big four because they are high-frequency verbs. You cannot get through a normal conversation without using at least one of them. Être means to be. It tells you who or what someone is, how they feel, and where they are. Avoir means to have. It covers possession, age, and many common expressions that used to have in French where English uses to be. Aller means to go. It handles movement and it also builds the near future. Faire means to do or to make. It covers actions, weather, activities, and dozens of fixed phrases. These four carry more weight than any regular verb because they show up in grammar structures, not just in meaning. Negation, ne, po. To make a sentence negative in French, you wrap the conjugated verb with any, po. This is called a two-part negation. Ne goes before the verb, and po goes after it. It is not optional and you cannot drop one part in standard French. The verb stays exactly as it was in the positive sentence. You do not change the ending or the stem. You just put any in front and po behind. So je parle becomes je any parle po. News amens becomes news animens po. Notice that any becomes any in front of a vowel or a silent H. That happens with je, on, Illinois, L, ILS, and else when the verb starts with a vowel. Je enim po le café is correct. Je enim po is not. The liaison is automatic in speech and writing. This rule works the same for every verb, regular or irregular. Two finesse becomes two any finesse po. Il ven becomes il any ven po. Asking simple questions. You already saw the 3 ways to ask questions in Module 3, and now you apply them fully with verbs in the present tense. The goal is simple: get information without changing the verb form you already learned. Method 1 is intonation. Take a normal statement and raise your voice at the end. Tout parles français becomes tout parles français with a rising tone. It is the easiest way in speech and it works for yes or no answers. Write it with a question mark. Method 2 is SCK. Put SCK in front of a statement and the order stays the same. SCK tout parles français means do you speak French? SCHUL Loris means does she like rice? When SCK meets a vowel, it contracts to SCHU. This form is safe, clear, and common in both speech and writing. Method 3 is inversion. Swap the subject pronoun and the verb, and join them with a hyphen. Parles tu français means do you speak French? Amtia Loris means does she like rice? For IL, L, and on, you insert a T between the verb and the pronoun if the verb ends in a vowel, to make it easier to say. Conclusion. Module 4 gives you the engine of the French language. Le present is not just one tense among many. It is the base you will stand on for every other verb form you learn. With regular, aya, and reverbs, you now have a system. Find the stem at the ending, and you can express hundreds of actions. You do not memorize every verb one by one. You apply the pattern. With the big 4, être, avoir, olla, and faire, you hold the most frequent verbs in the language. They are irregular, but they are essential. They describe who you are, what you have, where you go, and what you do. Those 4 ideas cover most of daily life. Negation with any, po lets you say what is not true, what you do not have, and what you do not do. Question forms with intonation, STK, and inversion let you stop guessing and start asking. You can now get answers instead of only giving information. The result is functional. You can describe your routine with J'ai mi lève, J'ai travaille, J'ai mange. You can state facts with I have fait chod or makodi. You can express preferences with news amens le français. You can check understanding with SCE que vous comprenez. You can deny with JE any parle pas anglais. That is not theory. That is communication. Every sentence you build from here will use these pieces. Past tense uses of wa and etra as helpers. Future uses ola. Complex ideas still need a conjugated verb in the present to start the clause. The work now is practice. Drill the endings until parla, ema, and trovela feel automatic. Write out finer, choicer, and reasa until the ISS in news finissance is muscle memory. Repeat vondra, attendra, répondra until the IL then form with no ending feels normal. Say J sui, tu as Illinois VA, news phasings out loud until you stop translating. Then use them. Talk about your day. Ask your classmates questions. Negate things you do not do. The present tense is called present because it is always with you.